welcome to another Checiegirl Creations video. So today I will be doing another video creating with the September box theme Boho Chic. And the previous things I've created is a canvas. It was on a burlap canvas and that came in the kit, and you can see that in the iCard in the top right hand corner. And I also decorated a journal cover as well using this kit, and I'll also link that video in an iCard. So I was thinking of decorating a box, and I have a few more things that I haven't used, such as like some lace and washi tape and stuff. And you can see, I'll also link the unboxing video as well, so you can see everything that came in the box before I used it. And the boxes I'm going to use are from the works. I opened it already because I wanted to look at the boxes. And there's 3 different sizes, and it was £10. So there's a large, a medium, and a small. I'm going to do the small today. So that's the size of the small, and it has like a magnet that keeps it closed. So when I'm doing it, I don't think I'll do anything on the inside, but I'll just make sure that when I'm doing the edges and stuff, I don't cover the magnet. And I will prime this, or at least go over with paint first before I stick any papers on it, just because it's wood. So yeah, so I will put this into fast forward mode, and I will talk in a voiceover so you know what I'm doing. So let's get to it. Okay, so before I put some clear chalk primer on the box, I'm going to cover the bottom of the box using a piece of scrap paper and some masking tape. And I won't be priming the bottom of the box because I'm not going to add any paint or inks or anything to it. I'm just going to leave it bare. So I'm making sure that the masking tape is nice and sticky. So I'm not going to take off some of the tack on my shirt like I would if I was doing a watercolor painting on some watercolor paper. I'm just putting it straight on. And once I did that, I'm going to go in with that clear chalk primer. And I gave the box 2 layers, inside and outside. And the chalk primer just makes the box non-porous anymore, and then that means when you're painting or putting on inks, it's not going to suck up all your paint, so it won't use up too much paint, especially if you're doing say a bigger box. You don't want to use too much paint, especially if you don't have a lot. And I let it dry completely before I put the second layer on off camera, and once that was dry, I was ready to add some paint. So it's all dry now. Oh, and whenever I let the box dry, I leave it ajar with something in between the lid and the bottom of the box so that it doesn't dry closed. And now I'm picking out what I want for the first layer of texture, and I'm going to use some washi tape and some of that tissue paper. I picked out some of that deco paper as well, but I didn't actually end up using that. And you can see the washi tape doesn't really want to stick to the box, but that's because of the chalk primer. It's not a humongous fan of all that texture, so I will use some PVA glue to seal the box, and I use PVA glue to seal everything in. If you have something like matte medium, which is a bit stronger, you can use that, but PVA glue is perfectly fine if that's all you have. And I do have things like matte medium, but because I don't use it a lot because I want to save it sometimes for when I really need it. And I just use a lot of PVA glue on this project. Just a lot. You can see that I'm putting on a lot because I really want to make sure that it stays, because unlike a canvas, a box is going to be handled a lot more. So I didn't want anything to be lifting up. And now I'm going to add in that tissue paper. And when I'm sticking down things like the tissue paper and any other papers that I might be sticking down later on, I'm making sure to not go over any of the openings or the hinge on the box so that it doesn't make it hard to be able to use the box. So you can see I'll be really careful to go on the back of that. And I haven't covered my hinges yet, but I will once I'm ready to add some color. But I was able to avoid the hinges pretty well before without having to cover it up. And you can see I'm adding like the tape and the papers all over the box, on the sides, on the back, just so like the design goes everywhere. And that tissue paper is from last year's December box, themed Golden Christmas. But of course, if you have this box, the September box, you can use that paper as well. I'm just using this one because I haven't started on the September box one yet. And again, a lot of PVA glue. I'm putting that everywhere. And this box is available to purchase on my Ticktail site. So if you're interested, please do follow the link below. I'll link that. Yeah, so that's available on my Ticktail site, so you can check that out below. And now I'm going to add some drywall tape. I had some like kind of leftover lying about from when I had a video with Isla, who was my special guest a few videos ago. I'll link that in the iCard on top right hand corner. And I'm using both like the drywall tape and the backing of it because it's self-adhesive. So I'm using the backing mostly on the sides of the box and the drywall tape itself on the top of the box. And I'm having to use quite a lot of PVA glue on the backing because it is a bit slippery, of course, because it's the backing. So I have to use a lot more on there, but I will also use PVA glue over the drywall tape. Not so much though, since it's already sticky. And I put the drywall tape in a few areas. I like to rip it and like tear it to add some texture. And I'm going to use some gauze. And if you don't have gauze, and this gauze is from like this year's March box, but that's sold out. You can use the lace that is provided in this September's box. I just wasn't really feeling lace for this box, but if that's the only fabric element you have, you can use that too. But I thought would be nice to use the gauze. I hadn't used it in a while, so I thought I might as well. And again, I'm using a lot of PVA glue on that, especially since it's fabric. And that created a really cool texture. And now I'm adding a layer of chalk primer. This is from the December box, but of course you have chalk primer in this box as well. So you can use that. And I added this thin layer on camera, but then off camera, as it was drying, I actually decided I wanted to add another thin layer of chalk primer. So I did add some more off camera, and you'll see that in a little bit. Okay, so you can see I added a little bit more chalk primer, and now I'm going to add the color. So I'm using a few of Sean Pete's stencils and masks with my DIY spray inks. Some of them are made from food coloring and some are made from inks. And I'm using the stencil, the mask itself, and as well I'm like kind of stamping around using the excess ink to add some more texture. And you can see I'm spraying on both the top, the back, and the sides of the boxes. And then I went in as well, just spraying it without any stencils or masks, and as well splashing the color around in a few areas. So that's when it took a really nice bright turn. And I will use a few of Sean Petit's stencils. That's because I'm part of her creative team, and I will link one of the videos I made for her creative team, and it's from 2018 to 2019. So there'll be a lot more videos coming out for that. And I'm using some gold paint to add some shine. I thought it needed some shine, and the inks weren't dry yet, so that kind of blended in really nicely. And I kind of dabbed like the paint on, so it had a little bit of texture in it as well. And I was going to use like the feathers as a focal image, but then I actually changed my mind after a while. That was my initial plan, but you'll see how it turned out at the end. And I'm going to use another one of Sean's stencils to add some texture. And I'm going to use texture paste with a palette knife, and that texture paste was from last year June's box. And once I've like added the texture paste in a couple areas, I'll just add through the stencil at the top, and then I'm going to like use the excess texture paste all around the box just to add a little bit more texture. I will go over with the heat gun, and when you go over texture paste or modeling paste with the heat gun and you keep it on there, it'll bubble up. But as soon as it bubbles up, you want to remove it from that area you've just been heating, because then it could flatten again and you could lose that texture. And that just adds a nice fun element, and I really do enjoy doing that every now and again. And I did that off camera. The camera like cut off a little bit, so you didn't see that, but I'll show you like how it looks a bit bubbled up. And I'm just spraying that stencil with some water just to make sure I can clean it later. So now I'm going to make some ultramarine blue with some black to make a really nice dark blue, because I felt like the box needed some grounding. I hadn't added a dark color to ground it yet, so I'm going to go around the edges of the box using my fingers, just to, it grounds it, and it kind of puts the box in a few sections, which I quite like, instead of having it all like just continuous. So everything looks cohesive and like works together, but then it just makes kind of like mini sections of the box, and I really liked how that turned out. And you can use a paintbrush if you like, but I do enjoy painting with my fingers. And I felt like I had a lot more control with my fingers than I would with a brush for this part. And then once I finished adding all that like dark color, I will splash around the edges as well, like the edges and the top of the box, just to kind of bring that in a little bit, because it does still look a little bit stark. And I'm using a fan brush for that. Oh, and just to let you know, the December box, the muted tones for this year is available for pre-order, and I will put that in a link in the description below. And all the previous boxes that are still available are all on sale. The initial price is £18, but they are all being marked down to £12. So if you want to grab yourself a deal, please do check that out. And if you want to see exactly what's in the previous boxes, I will link the playlist to all the videos I've made for this subscription box in an icon in the top right hand corner, and all those links are below. And I just went over the chevron pattern with some white paint, just to kind of blend in those splash marks. And I really liked how that turned out, because the white looked a little bit too stark, but once I did that, it looked a lot better. And I'm using these Scrabble tiles to create the focal image, but I didn't have enough M's to spell out memories, so I traced over the M tile, and then I scribbled on the back of the paper with a pencil. And now I'm using a pen that doesn't work anymore to press really hard onto that tile, and I've transferred the image, or the letter should I say. And so basically I made my own like carbon paper in a way. And I went over first with a Sharpie pen, but that wasn't thick enough, so I used that paint pen, and I'm not too sure where that's from. So once that was done, the tiles looked a little bit stark, so I'm picking out some colors. I'm using some colors from the box as well as colors from my own supplies. So I used like a light yellow green, I believe it's called, like a blue, a magenta, an orange as well. And I'm using my fingers again to edge like the sides and to kind of come up on the top, just the edge of the top of the tiles. And I'm edging them all slightly differently so it doesn't look the same. And I will move the box a little bit so you can see the letters a little bit more. And I'm being quite careful like when I'm putting on the green and the pink and the orange, because that can create mud with like the green and the orange and the green and the pink. And you can see how I'm like edging it slightly differently with each tile. And this will just make it look better on the box. It wouldn't look so plain. And I will end up going over the letters a little bit, but I'll just go over the letters just to make it stronger with that paint pen again later. Ooh, and since Christmas is on its way, I have a whole bunch of Christmas products like Christmas cards and ornaments and like gift tags and wrapping paper. And I'll link that below to all my Christmas products on my site if you want to check that out. And as like the Christmas season like comes closer, I will have a few like sales on as well leading up to it. So you can check that out and like follow anything to hear about like sales and stuff on my Instagram and Facebook, which are also linked below. So now I'm going to decorate the inside. I didn't want it to be plain, and especially since some of the inks had like kind of come on the inside, I thought I would cover the inside with some tissue paper. So I'm going to use a gold tissue paper. And I do end up going on like the edge of the inside of the box. But then my mom reminded me that if I did that, the box would close slightly ajar. So I did have to like tear that off, but thankfully she reminded me before it dried. Otherwise, I probably would have had a harder time taking it off. So I was able to take that off without any like real consequence. But I made sure like the bottom and the inside, like the sides of the box of both the lid and the bottom of the box was nice and covered. And I'm using quite a lot of PVA glue as well in this. So you can see I'm covering the top edge all nice and neatly, but then I had to take it all off afterwards. But that's okay, because then you guys get to learn from my mistakes. Because then when I did test it, it didn't close properly. And once I took that off, I did the lid. And now I'm going to paint the edges instead. So first I'm just going to put some gold paint on the tiles, and I'm going to go in with the same gold paint on the edges because it just didn't look right with like the plain edge. And when I go over the edge, I will like blend in afterwards, like on the lid, or the inside of the lid and the bottom of the box. And once I did that, like after it dried, and you'll see this in pictures afterwards, it's like the paint and the tissue paper kind of reacted, and it gave her like a really cool like patina kind of look to it, kind of like a bluey gold green look. That was really cool. It was a complete mistake. So I'm gonna see if I can try to recreate it on like something else to like see maybe what happened, because when I added the paint, the glue wasn't completely dry, so maybe that was why. But I was really happy with how that turned out. And when I put the gold paint over, I didn't do it very neatly, so there was like more patches where it was golder, more patches where it was a bit more bluer. But I'm thinking it's mostly from like the dye within the tissue paper that reacted with the paint. But you'll see that in photos at the end, and that was really cool. And I'm just going to paint the edges of the tiles with that gold paint, just to make sure that the shine is all over. This box does end up very shiny, and I'll also edge it with that dark blue paint that I mixed up. And I did seal the box with some gloss medium, and you can do matte medium if you don't want too much shine, but I didn't want to lose that shine from the gold. And the gloss medium made the colors more vibrant. It made everything pop out. It made all the texture and the details just like pop right out, and just everything was really vibrant. And you'll see that in the photos, but I wish I was able to catch the shine of the gloss medium in the photos. I wasn't able to do that, but you can really see how bright it looked. And when I did that, I sealed the box separately from the tiles, and I gave them both 2 layers. I let the box dry for over 24 hours though before I sealed it, and then between layers of gloss medium I let it dry for over 24 hours as well, just to make sure it's nice and dry. And then I went over that and I stuck the tiles on with some hot glue. So back to the box. Some of the gold kind of scooshed out onto like the outside of the box, so I'm just going to go over and blend that in on the sides. And as well, I put some gold paint around the hinges, because when I covered that with masking tape when I wanted to add color, I did miss some of that as well. So you can see I'm just making sure that gold looks as if it was supposed to be there and it's nice and blended. And I added some yellow ochre, like kind of off camera. The camera died, so you can see kind of like some parts of yellow ochre, and I added a little bit more of that dark paint around with my fingers. So I'm just trying to like figure out how I want to put the letters on the cover. And that's how I wanted to do it. So I'm adding some highlights with my Uniball Signo pen. And the reason I let it dry for over 24 hours is like reasons like some of the inks aren't permanent and that pen isn't permanent either. So I wanted to make sure that nothing smudged when I was sealing it. And I'm going over the tile with that paint pen just to make it nice and strong again, because the letters did kind of disappear when I was adding that paint. And the nib isn't very small, so when I was doing the numbers on the tiles, it was a bit tricky, but thankfully I was able to. And especially since not on the blank tile, but on the tiles I already had the letters on it, there was a little bit of a indentation, so the paint pen kind of went in the groove, so that made it a little bit easier to go over. So now I'm just adding some more detail and grounding a lot more with that dark paint again. And I'm using that liner brush. That's from Hobbycraft. I'm always going on about this liner brush because I love it so much. And that's just helping the chevron to pop out and to be a bit grounded again. And I'm just going to go over kind of randomly, like over the gauze and the drywall tape, just to add that texture and to bring the texture out as well, because everything had kind of dissipated a little bit after I added all that color. And I'm also going over the edge a little bit more. I found the edge, just the border didn't look thick enough. So I went over with the paint brush. So you can see everything looks a lot more like detailed. And I'm adding some highlights as well over that chevron. I didn't want the chevron to be too dark. I did want a nice bright pop on the cover. And I'll also add some splashes with that paint. And I'm also going over the gauze and the drywall tape as well to pick up that texture. I didn't want to splash the tiles, so when I'm splashing it, you will see me like kind of covering the tiles with my hand as I'm splashing it. So that is pretty much it. I will chat to you at the end of the video, and you'll see all the photos at the end so you can see exactly how it looks when it's finished. So thanks for watching, and don't forget this box is available on my TikTok site. Don't forget to check out the December box, the muted tones, and all the previous subscription boxes as well. So thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Okay, so I'm all done. I'm not going to stick down the letters yet because I want to be able to seal the whole box, just the outside with some matte medium. So I'll leave it for probably about 24 hours to dry, and then I'll stick these down. I also don't have any hot glue, and I wanted to use hot glue to stick down the letters. And like I'll probably going to, you can ignore the M, that's just what I was just testing, like what would stay on it. I'm probably going to kind of fill this bit with like hot glue and then kind of let it smush out just a little bit so that that's stuck down properly. So everything's pretty much dry, the inside's pretty much dry as well. I can't open it up, of course, because that's not dry yet, and I'll take a photo once I've stuck everything down and it's all sealed with matte medium. And it's fine to seal with the matte medium because I don't really need it to be shiny. If I wanted it to be shiny, I could seal with gloss medium, and I could do that to make it shiny, but I think I'll rather keep it matte. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and please do click that bell next to the subscription button so you can get notified whenever I upload a video. And I want to thank my subscribers who are sticking with me. Thank you very much for your support, and people who already like my videos. And yeah, so I will see you in another video, and the next subscription video you'll probably see is the December unboxing one, so that's also in the link below. So check that out, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!